Let's talk about making connections. What happens when you read? Does the text remind you of something that has happened to you? Do the characters make you think of someone that you know? Does the text remind you of something that is going on in the world? Or does the text remind you of something that you have read before? If so, then you are making connections as you read. As good readers, we should always be making connections. As you read, you could make connections to personal experiences or something that has happened to you. For example, as you're reading a book, it might make you think of a time you got a special toy for a holiday. Let's take a look. I'm going to read this poem called Cleaning My Room. Follow along as I read and think about connections you can make. Cleaning my room is not fun at all. There's stuff on my bed, there's stuff on my wall, cups everywhere, trash and clothes too, makeup and towels, a bowl of moldy stew. My mom will be mad. I can see her face now, shaking her head and raising her brow. As I read that poem, what did you think about? I know I thought about the last stanza that says my mom will be mad. I can see her face now, shaking her head and raising her brow. I thought about my own messy room and how angry my mom gets when she sees my room. Does anybody else have a messy room? As you read, you could also make connections to other things that you have read before. That is called making a text-to-text connection. Let's take a look. The first passage is called The Giant Squid. The second passage is called Stunning Sight to See. We can tell by the picture at the bottom that the second passage is also about a squid because the picture shows a giant squid. In the first passage, let's read the highlighted sentence. It says the giant squid lives deep underwater, which makes it rarely seen by humans. In the second passage, the highlighted sentence says, it was a rare sighting since giant squid are rarely seen at the surface. From the two articles, we get the same idea, that giant squid do not come to the surface very often. We have made a text-to-text connection. As you read, you could also make connections to the things that are going on in the real world. Let's take a look. This passage is called condensation. Let's read the highlighted sentences together. It says, have you ever gotten a cold glass of water and noticed the sweat on the outside? Or maybe you've gone to look out the window and it was fogged over. Condensation occurs when water changes from water vapor that is in the air to a liquid. Let's look at our photograph of the boy drawing pictures on the fogged up window. Does that make you think of a time that maybe you drew on a window as well? A+ on that drawing. Now let's give it a try. What connections can you make from this poem about cheesecake? Listen as I read it out loud and try to make some connections. Cheesecake. Cheesecake is not cake. Cheesecake is not cheese. But make no mistake, cheesecake is here to please. It's like heaven on earth. It's like food for the soul. It's like a brand new birth. It's like no self-control. Cheesecake is sweet. Cheesecake is crunchy. It's an afternoon treat. It's a midnight munchie. What connections did you make as I was reading the poem? Maybe you thought about a time on vacation that you bought cheesecake at a coffee shop. Or maybe you thought about the very first time that you ever tried cheesecake. Or maybe you thought about making your own cheesecake. Or maybe it reminded you of reading a book about cheesecake when you were younger. So next time you're reading a book, think about what connections you can make